Welcome to episode 10 of Duo Doers. And in this episode, we're doing part 2 of the DIY closet makeover. To see part 1, click on the pop-up on the top right. In this episode, we're creating our shelves from scratch and finally finishing up the master bedroom closet. To see an easier and more apartment-friendly version of a closet makeover, check out the next pop-up on the top right, which goes to episode 7. To see more videos from us, make sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons and leave comments down below for things you would like us to tackle. Don't forget that we do post links to the items we use in the video in the description down below, so don't forget to check those out as well. We are cutting some 1x4 furring strips instead of the 1x2s we cut in episode 7. This is going to ensure the closet rod socket fits on the board rather than attaching it directly to the wall. Much like our last closet video, we're sanding down the unfinished wood to give it a smooth texture. This time we're using the 80 grit sandpaper versus the 120 that we used last time. It made it a lot quicker this time. For this project, we're again using the shelf boards, the 16 inches deep, 97 inches long, and 3/4 of an inch thick. We got this straight edge clamp for about 20 bucks from Harbor Freight to help us get straighter cuts, but it really didn't help us as much as we thought it would. At the end, we end up using the drywall tee to get a straight line across the board and use that line for our cut as best as possible. If we had a track saw or a table saw, that would have helped us get those nice straight and crisp lines, but that isn't in our budget now, so maybe one day. We're trying to make these 3 boards as identical as we can. They're going to be the permanent shelves and help create the structure of the box by securing them to the top, bottom, and middle. At first, we're going to use the 18 gauge brad nailer to pin these boards in place. Then once we like how everything looks, we're going to secure them in place with some drywall screws, 2 for each side of the boards. Now that the box is created, we're going to go ahead and start drilling the holes for the shelves. In this project, we're going to be doing adjustable shelves rather than the static shelves that we did in episode 7. We want to be adjustable so that as life goes on, we can change things, especially since it's in the master bedroom closet. We're using this Kreg Shelf Pin Jig, which it was completely worth the $30 we spent on it and made the process so much easier. It takes a little bit of time since there's a lot of holes, top, bottom, and on each side. You want about 4 holes for each shelf. The jig really helped keep everything in the same spacing with the same depth, especially with how reiterative this process was. This tool made it a breeze. It really did help us get this done faster, better, and cleaner. Definitely worth the 30 bucks. Now we're working on cutting the rest of the shelves. Now that we have the box built, these shelves are going to be a little bit smaller than the first 3 that we cut, so they can easily move in and out of the box as we adjust them. We took the inside measurement of the box after we built it, just to make sure everything fit, and recut anything that was a little bit too big. And again, with the straight edge guide, really ended up being a hindrance than a help. For sure, we recommend a track saw or track saw adapter from Kreg if that's in your budget, rather than wasting your money on a straight edge guide. Hopefully one day we can invest in a track saw or table saw, which will make our life a lot easier. Now that everything's set up, we can bring the box inside and secure it to the studs to ensure it doesn't go anywhere using some 3-inch GRK screws. Since this is our main closet, there's going to be a bigger structure. We want to ensure that everything is secure and not going anywhere. We're sawing the box first so we can get the measurements for the other shelves. So once this is set up, we're going to go ahead and take the measurements for the other shelves. We're using 3-inch screws on the left-hand side and some L brackets anchored into the wall since there's no studs on the right-hand side. For some of it, we're going to have to push it in place to ensure the cabinet is nice and plumb. To make these cuts that we're making, you want to make sure that you have an ultra finish blade. We're using the one from Diablo. This is going to ensure your cuts come out cleaner compared to the regular framing blades. The more teeth, the better. This is an 80 tooth blade versus the 24 teeth that are on framing blades. Some people like using tape to make sure that things don't chip, but for us, it wasn't a big deal because we're going to paint over the chips, and most of the chips are going to be in places that we're hidden. Now that we have the box in place, we went ahead and cut the new shelves, and this is where it's the measure twice, cut once, but also have some experience to know that you need a little bit more room than what you're measuring to cut. So we left an 1/8 of an inch gap to ensure that we can slide the shelves in without marring up the walls like we did last time. We're also going to pin the support strips to the walls for now, and we'll be following those up with screws. The boards are going to be holding a lot more weight, so we want to make sure that they're nice and secure. We also screwed in a top shelf to the box with 4 screws, bringing everything together. First, using clamps to ensure the screws don't strip the boards. We're using these 2 L brackets to secure the longer shelves and to also hold the closet rods in place. 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. We're using plastic anchors for these as they did not line up with any studs. So in the studs is when you need to or when you can, and plastic anchors when you can't. Never just screw straight into the drywall. We're also caulking all the gaps and seams to give it a really nice finish. Since we cut a bigger hole in the caulk gun, it all came out, and so she had to just use her finger to smooth it all out. Since I didn't properly plan ahead, I'd forgotten to leave room the top for my nail gun, so I had to go out and get this little right angle drill attachment to allow me to attach the top shelf into the bracket. I got the Milwaukee one because that's the tool line I want to invest in someday. They also have a DeWalt one. That's something we learn in our projects. Whenever you're budgeting for it, always leave room for last minute purchases. Now that everything else is set up, we're cutting the closet rods. And this is one of the places that I didn't measure twice, and I had to cut those rods multiple times to get them to fit. I forgot the gap for the closet rod holders. When you're cutting things, always make sure you are leaving your little room for things to actually fit. You don't want to get right next to it. It's never going to be perfect. Once I got the closet rods in place, I'm going to secure them to the L brackets with a screw. They have a little hole in them so you can secure the rod. This way the rod doesn't go anywhere as you're putting clothes on and off. Now I'm using the matte spray paint, the ultra white, to paint over the screws and chips and scuff marks. I'm even painting the holes for the pins so everything is nice and cohesive. Everything is the same color, and I don't want any wood or screws showing as I'm painting over everything to give it a nice look. But when you're spray painting, you want to make sure that you are wearing a mask or have ample ventilation. I definitely did not do that here, but I do recommend protecting yourself when you're doing this. The smell is really strong, especially in cramped areas like this. Now we're putting the closet back together, putting the top rail back, and cleaning things up. I had some leftover paint drips on the floor, so I'm using a plastic putty knife, a scrubbing pad, and a Zep degreaser. This picks up almost everything on the paint on the floor. Sometimes I had to go in with my fingernail though, and it picked it up. Now that everything's clean, we're going to go ahead and start putting some of our clothes back in place. Luckily, we had put them away in a way that made putting them back really easy. Once the clothes are back in, we're going to set up the lights. The reason we waited to put the clothes in is so that we can see how the lights look with everything in place and make sure that everything we wanted lit was well lit. Also, we learned the hard way, the pins that you get to fit with the Kreg drill bit are very specific. So not every shelf pin size works. You're going to want to read the instructions, but get the exact shelf pin size that says there's a 1/4 inch and I think 6 millimeters. So you want to make sure you get the right ones, otherwise they're not going to fit. I had to try multiple ones and find it out the hard way. Now that we have everything in place, we can start putting the shelves in. I did have to do a little bit of wiggling and forcing things in place because not everything fit perfectly. That's what happens when you don't have those professional level tools. But at the end of the day, it ended up working perfect for us. Everything looked beautiful. Now it's time to set up the lighting. The dome lights that we have, the black dome lights, were in the closet when we first got the house, and they're great. We just had to change out the batteries. Made sure to really secure them to the wall. The rectangular lights we got from Amazon, they're pretty awesome, and they're very, very bright. So definitely check them out in the description down below. They even are rechargeable, unlike the other ones we had to put some batteries in. These are rechargeable and they charge fast. Now putting the entire room back together, and that's pretty much it. Now we have a completely redone closet, and we have been loving it. Thank you guys for watching this video. We're posting videos every month now to allow us time to work on these projects and make these videos better. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see the latest project updates at Duo Doers on both of those sites. Lastly, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see when we post the next video. Thank you.